The following is a production of the League of Southeastern Credit Unions and Affiliates.
Hi, I'm Patrick Lapine, and this is our quarterly League update video. First of all, happy holidays from the LSCU and Affiliates. A couple issues we want to talk about in today's video, just to talk a little bit about what's happened recently, as well as some things that we'll be looking forward to as we go into the new year. So hopefully most of you saw through some of the trade publications as now Congress kind of ends the year this session and gets ready to come back with a Republican majority next year. We're able to pass a few pieces of legislation of importance during the lame duck session. For us, for credit unions, one that we'd been watching very closely and been pushing for was the CU Share Insurance Fund Parity Act. And this will now allow for trust accounts to be covered under the share insurance. So that's something that we'd been pushing for, and I'm happy that that was passed and actually signed by the President just yesterday. Other issues that we'll be looking at as we go into the new year will, of course, be taxation. There's been a lot of talk regarding comprehensive tax reform again, and I think now that the elections are over, that will be front and center before Congress. We'll be watching very closely in 2015. Remember, business lending will continue to work with Congressman Miller here from the Pensacola area to try to pass legislation that we worked with him to introduce that would exempt veterans, loans to veterans from the MBL cap, as well as other issues such as secondary capital that seems to be getting some momentum in the light of the RBC regulatory proposal, and also strong comments of support from our regulators. So that's something, a couple of the issues that we'll be talking about as we go into the new year on the federal level. Speaking of risk-based capital, we do expect the new risk-based capital proposal to come out in January. The NCUA board is set to meet on January 15th, and at that point, we do expect them to issue that new proposed rule. So we'll be watching that closely. Our staff will be looking at it, doing an analysis of it, providing that information to credit unions, as well as having opportunities to both educate them on through sessions on what's in the proposal, as well, once again, looking at if there are issues that we feel like we need to go and to comment back on the NCUA, working with our credit unions again on that. You know, we were very lucky to, through the support and the grassroots actions of our credit unions, be able to really turn the tide on that. But that was just one battle. The war isn't won yet, and we'll need to continue to be vigilant on RBC as we go into the new year. Another, I think, important recent development that came out of the NCUA's most recent December meeting was the comments by Chairman Matz that they're going to be forming a working group to both look at changes to field of membership as well as secondary capital. That's a positive development for basically the reason that we have been pushing, me personally as well as our league, has been pushing for the NCUA to be using working groups of credit union officials more on the front end of proposed regulation to help really look at how some of the changes that they're looking to enact would impact credit unions once the rule passes. So, you know, the process at NCUA has always been, you know, people at the agency who have never worked at a credit union drawing up proposed rules, and then it goes out to credit unions for comments. Just like with the RBC, you know, there's a lot of angst within the movement, things that they probably did not consider when originally drafting the proposals, and then we're all reacting, spending a lot of time and effort trying to change the proposed regulations. The process that we think makes a lot more sense is if they have an issue they want to write a new rule on or change a rule on, get some credit union officials from around the country together on the front end, talk about it, throw some ideas back and forth, hear about how some of these proposed rules would impact credit unions, use that as part of the process for drafting the rule to try to mitigate the negative consequences or negative reaction of the rule once it's issued. So they did that with the second RBC proposal, and obviously that was a good process, they thought, because they are now looking to do that with some other issues like FOM and secondary capital. So that's a very positive development, and I think we should commend Chairman Matz and the board for listening to credit unions, listening to the trades, and responding accordingly. Another issue that is, of course, right around, maybe not an issue, but something we want to make sure everyone marks their calendars for, is the CUNA GAC. The 2015 CUNA GAC is scheduled for a little bit later next year than previously our usual time, which is usually that last week of February. It's scheduled for March 8th through the 12th. You know, I know we have had many folks already register and reserve their hotel rooms. I think our room block may already be full. We have a waiting list, so if you still have not had your room, please contact our staff. We'll get you on the waiting list. In the 5 years that I've been here, we've have not been able to clear our wait list. We have a lot of credit unions that reserve more rooms than they need, so as they get closer to the event, They'd return those, and we're able to redistribute those to credit unions that have not yet secured their rooms at the Grand Hyatt, which will once again be our host location for the LSCU and affiliates. I think we'll have another great lineup of speakers this year. We'll have, of course, Jim Nussel, the new CUNA's CEO that we'll be hearing from, as well as we'll be doing our welcome reception on Sunday night, and probably, of course, our hospitality again on Tuesday night. So stay tuned for more details. You can go to our website to get more information. But please, make sure your credit union is represented. As we go into a new session of Congress, we have many new lawmakers, have some high-level issues such as maybe taxation starting to take center stage for discussion. So we need to make sure we have a good delegation up on Capitol Hill for those meetings with lawmakers and their staff. Also, our new image campaign is already in the works. Just last week, we shot our first commercial for the campaign. This year we'll be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be using smaller vignettes, more like 30-second ads along a common theme that we'll be using as part of the campaign. We could do 3, maybe even 4 of these, and we'll be doing more social media buys as well. So we hope to get this first commercial produced, and we can share that with credit unions soon after the first of the year, so you can get an idea of the overall theme of the campaign throughout the year, and also to gain your support, your financial support for helping us fund that, because that, of course, is very important for us to have a very successful campaign. Our state GACs are also going to be taking place during the first quarter and early second quarter. The Florida State Governmental Affairs Conference will be March 24th and 25th. Of course, here in Tallahassee, we have a full plate of issues for our state legislative agenda, so it's very important for us to have a great turnout for that event. Once again, we'll have many new lawmakers here in Tallahassee, and we need to make sure we're bringing a strong presence and a good message about the credit union difference to our lawmakers up here in our state capital. In Alabama, our state GAC is very soon after that, April 7th and 8th in Montgomery. We already have confirmed as a featured speaker at our state GAC, Governor Bentley, so that will be a great addition to our lineup of speakers. And once again, we need a strong turnout in our Montgomery meeting as well. Our Southeast Credit Union Conference and Expo is once again going to be in Orlando, June 17th through the 19th. We're working on our lineup of featured speakers for that event, but we also will have great breakout sessions on very important topics, great networking opportunities. You know, this conference has turned into one of the largest credit union annual meetings and conferences in the country, and we want to continue to grow that, not only with our credit union participation from both states, but also credit unions from out of state, in our surrounding states and markets, as well as having a great vendor turnout. Last year we sold out our Expo hall, had a waiting list, so we're looking to expand that and create more opportunities for you to hear about some great new products and services from a lot of our partners. Also, I think you've heard me talk a little bit and write about in my presence column about the CUNA Governance and Structure Task Force. This is made up of 12 credit union officials from around the country that are looking at the future of not only the CUNA, but the CUNA League system. I think it's a little bit of a misnomer to call it a CUNA Structure and Governance Task Force, because it's really CUNA and the leagues. We have 2 representatives on that task force, Carol Green from Members First Credit Union in the Pensacola area, and then also Tom Doherty from Suncoast Credit Union. And just recently, in the last week, the chair of that task force, Benson Porter from BECU out in Seattle, had to step down his chair, still going to sit on the committee, and CUNA Chairman Dennis Pierce has asked Tom Doherty to take over the chairmanship of that process. So Tom will be really the point person, and I think it's a great statement to the leadership we have among our credit union officials in our states that Tom was asked to take the reins of that process, and we'll be working very closely with Tom as they look to continue to look at how to evolve the CUNA League system to meet the current and the future needs of our credit union community. Dues packets were mailed out first week of December. Not only does it include your league dues invoice, but also the CUNA dues invoice, voluntary contributions for the image campaign and our foundation. We also started several years ago a way for you to automatically allow us to just do an ACH of your dues. So take a look at that. It makes it a lot easier for you, so you don't have to be forwarding it on to accounting and having us contact you if we haven't received your dues as we get to the end of the first quarter. We have quite a few of our creditors that have now signed up for that automatic dues payment option, and we'd encourage you to do the same. It saves us time, it saves you time, and make sure that there's no interruption of service to you if we do not receive your dues by March 31st. But we appreciate your continued affiliation with the league. You know, we're up to 85% affiliation now. Hope to continue to increase that. When I first came here 5 years ago, we were about 76%. So we made great strides as we've seen affiliation go down in some other states and nationally overall has gone down. Ours has gone up. So I think that's a great testament to our credit unions and hopefully the work that you think we're doing on your behalf. Bylaw revisions, you've heard me talk a little bit about this, and you'll hear a lot more about it during the first quarter of 2015. We spent the last year, the league's board's governance committee, reviewing our bylaws and looking for ways to improve those, and also looking at our membership categories, the way that we elect credit officials to our board. Our current bylaws state that every 5 years we will go through this process, so that is 2015. So we're right on track to meet our current bylaw requirement, and we'll be probably starting in February holding town hall meetings to educate credit unions about the changes, the proposed changes, why we're making them, and also to get feedback from you, because we want your feedback before a final decision is made on the changes. Ultimately, our goal is to bring this to the membership for a vote in June at our annual meeting in Orlando. So with that, just once again, want to thank you for your continued support. Look forward to your continued affiliation in 2015, and have a happy holidays.